Real good. Dave Steve. Mosby.
Mayberry. John Mayberry. Jesse Caulfield.
Otto Velez. Ernie Witt.
John Mayberry. Jim Clancy.
I think Garth Orge is the most underrated player.
Here comes the throw to first, and Griffin coming in from third. He slides, and he's in there safely. Wants to bunt. He has dragged the bunt up along the first base line. He'll run the race to first, and he drives in the run as Ball comes in to score.
1-2 pitch. Fly ball deep right field. That's got a chance. Back goes Gibson. Back, and there she goes. A three-run home run for Ernie Witt. Hit into the
swung on line into right field. That's going to win the ball game.
Well, I think they'll go all the way.
As long as Detroit doesn't get out to another start like they did last year.
Hopefully with the extra pitching they've added, they'll win.
We've got a great chance. We're going to be there all the way.
Keeson threw one right at the head of Ernie Witt earlier, and now he hits George Bell in the back. Bell dropped the bat, karate kicked it.
The Blue Jay fans have waited for this. There's a fly to George Bell. He's got it. He's there. The Blue Jays are won. The Jays are won. They won the Eastern Division Championship. CTV presents Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball. Brought to you by Labatt's Blue, the clean, true taste of Canada. By Esso retailers and agents across Canada. And by Xerox, we answer to you. Oh, to relive all those great and wonderful memories that go all the way back to April the 7th, 1977. But sports fans all across Canada, tonight is the beginning of a new era. In this magnificent Skydome, this is a structure that will be recognized all over the world as the greatest sports stadium ever built. Hello everybody, I'm Fergie Oliver and welcome to the Skydome. This is it, the most magnificent sports building that there is. And tonight on CTV, we're here to show you the very first game played, the Milwaukee Brewers and the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Blue Jay players wanted me to personally thank all the construction workers and all the people involved in putting this stadium together. Now let's go to Don Chevrier and Tony Kubek.
Thank you, Fergie. Indeed, an exciting moment here as a new beginning for baseball in Toronto takes shape. Tony, I know one thing you're very happy about, being a purist. The weather allows them for Game 1 to open up the dome and let all the atmosphere in.
Well, very simply, Toronto has outdone itself. I think Fergie said it down there and touched on it, but you've got to be inside here, see it to believe it. The Milwaukee Brewers people came in here a while ago to see this stadium. They are talking of building one in the next few years in Milwaukee. When they saw this, their eyes got that big.
I can imagine. I mean, the spectators will probably spend more time looking around at other areas of the stadium, the scoreboard and all the amenities, than they will watching tonight's baseball game. The game is almost incidental, isn't it?
Well, it's not going to be at about 7:35 or so after they introduce the players. Going around the stadium, and a lot of the players did that. There was no batting practice today, very little infield, but everybody was agog, all of the players from Milwaukee and Toronto as they went around. It looks like it's going to be a pitcher's park, so I would think that run production will go down here. However, when you play football in here, I think you're going to have higher scoring football games because of controlled conditions.
Let's find out what the other folks think. Let's go down to Fergie.
All right, thank you very much, Don Chevrier. We've got a lot of fans standing by. Sir, could I have your name, please?
Arch from Mimico.
Tell me, Archie, were you a season ticket holder since day one?
Oh, yeah, since the first day.
What do you think of this magnificent stadium?
I think it's magnificent. I can't get over the feeling that you're outside. That's what I was so worried about.
Well, we are. The roof is open.
It's great.
What's your name, sir?
Angelo Perfetti.
And what do you think of this place, Angelo?
Just awesome. I think it's fantastic. The Toronto is a first-class city, and it has a first-class stadium.
And you're a real Blue Jay fan, always
right from day one.
All right, here's another gentleman. Can I have your name, please?
Gary Pickering from Burlington, Ontario.
Garrett, what do you think of this place?
This is Canada's dream come true for baseball in Toronto. It's just a fantastic place, Bert.
Big smile on this couple's face. What do you think?
It's awesome. It's just beautiful.
Fergie, this is great. Maybe now we've got a ballpark to go along with this class club that we've had here for all these years.
All right.
First class all the way.
Thank you very much, and let's enjoy the season. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
A roof that does work, indeed. It will open and close on command. As a matter of fact, to say more about that is almost redundant. Stadium that will close. Therefore, a decision will have to be made before each game, say 2 or 3 hours before, on whether to open the roof for the game of that day. That open or close decision will be made by the Blue Jays, and they'll be in close touch always with the weather office. Then, of course, after the first pitch, the game is in the hands of the umpires, and they would close the roof if need be. The key thing to remember, though, this is a dome stadium that is going to open when the officials want it open. Otherwise, it is going to remain closed. Fans entering this latest wonder of the world will be greeted by these huge, handsome sculptures by Michael Snow depicting various aspects of what the Skydome will present in the years to come. And as you go inside, all but a very few of the 50,000 baseball seats will offer an unobstructed view of the playing surface. These seats are reached for the most part by ramps, and depending on the ticket price, they could be at any one of 5 levels. Not open now, but soon, will be a 364-suite hotel, the first ever incorporated into a major sports complex. 70 of these suites will overlook the playing surface. However, bring your banker along because these rooms will go for almost a cool $1,000 a day. One thing you probably won't see from the hotel is the giant scoreboard replay screen called Jumbotron or Skyvision. This is the world's largest screen, 115 feet long and 35 feet high. It is over 3 times the size of any other ever built. To put it another way, this is almost 5 times larger than the old scoreboard at Exhibition Stadium. But even with its mammoth proportions, the manufacturers claim the images will be razor sharp and crystal clear. And indeed, that is the case. Underneath, the baseball diamond's laid out, having home plate at the south end of the dome with center field straight away north. First base will be at the east side, the downtown side of the diamond. Third base is on the west. And along that north end will be an 800-seat super restaurant that features an elaborate buffet, international cuisine, an exciting atmosphere. It's going to be open before, during, and after events here. Above the restaurant, you might want to try the 300-seat bar on for size. In coming months, a country and western bar, Hard Rock Cafe, and a number of clubs designed to tone up your muscles or quench your thirst. There's a lot going on here. We'll check back with Fergie in just a moment.
All right, here we are with some players, and we're going to talk about this Skydome, and we've got Freddie McGriff. And Fred, unfortunately, you have not been able to take any batting practice, so you're going into this game cold turkey, so to speak, and we don't know whether the ball carries or not.
Yeah, but I think it's a great day for the Blue Jay organization and everything. A new stadium, Exhibition Stadium, his days were numbered, and now we've got a new stadium, so it's time to play ball.
We're looking forward to it, big guy. Good luck, okay? Bob Brenly, you played in the Houston Astrodome. How do they compare?
There is no comparison as far as I'm concerned. The Astrodome wasn't really built for baseball. It was built as a multi-purpose stadium, and baseball was just an insignificant other thing they did there. But this is a baseball stadium. This is great.
Really, there aren't enough words to describe it.
No, there isn't really. You know, the stadium itself is amazing, but the field is still 60 feet 6 inches and 90 feet to the bases.
All right, Tommy Lawless, what about you? What do you think about this, big guy?
I think it's great. I think the fans are going to love it here. I think every seat in here is a great seat to watch a baseball game.
I noticed that. I looked around, didn't see a bad seat.
No, I looked around earlier today when we were out wandering around, and it's going to be great for the fans, and hopefully we start playing better. It's a new season for us now.
Well, you haven't had a chance yet to see the skyboxes, have you? That's where they pay a lot of money to sit. You haven't, right?
I haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to go up there one of these days and
look
check
at that
out
monitor
every
because
seat.
we're going to go upstairs right now to Tony Kubek, who's sitting in one of those skyboxes. Tony?
All right, Fergie, thank you. Tell Tom Lawless he can't afford it, neither can I. Whoever used the expression, be it ever so humble, there's no place like home. Not very humble surroundings here. And the prices, though, they will humble you. All the amenities of home. The Milwaukee Brewers contingent, that is who is guests in this box right here. If you wanted to rent one, it would cost you $110,000 to $220,000 per year. Now, that does not include the food, the furnishings. You have to sign a 10-year contract. You do have great seats. You also have to purchase tickets for all of approximately 200 events. So the prices are humbling, but the view, well, they're about the best in the stadium. Chevy, we're going to go to you and let you take us around this Skydome a little bit more as we just salivate. We wish we could be sitting right there.
Well, you wouldn't salivate too long because the hot dogs in those private boxes cost $6.50 a copy, and you have to order at least 10 to get fed at all. So it's expensive eating there, but I'll tell you, those folks are going to have a great time tonight and throughout the seasons to come with the Toronto Blue Jays. Much more to come here as we check out the new dome for you on opening night in Toronto, and we'll have it for you in just a moment. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV from the Dome.
The players, of course, are always more interested in the playing conditions and the surface than anything else. They were not happy, as you know, with the artificial surface in Exhibition Stadium. This just put down this morning, but it does not have very many seams. The mound, of course, is a floating mound. They can hydraulically lift it and put it back into the turf. If you wonder about whether it will be a hitter's park or a pitcher's park, there are going to be so many conditions, nighttime, daytime, whether the dome is open or closed. There will be variables. However, from what pitchers tell us and players who have just observed the ball fly off a fungo bat, they think this will be a much fairer pitcher's park. The dimensions, some say 400 in dead center, some say it's 412. It's listed as 375 in the power alleys. Some say it maybe as much as 385. A nice high mound. The pitcher should get good leverage. And we think this is going to be a very, very fair pitcher's park. And if you're a good hitter with power, you can get the ball out if you hit it down the lines, but it's going to be hard to get it out in center field unless you're Freddie McGriff, a George Bell, Mosby on occasion, a Rob Deere with great power from the Milwaukee Brewers. So the players have had their look at this ballpark, the best look that they are going to get. They'll have to know and see what it's going to do when the first pitch is thrown in this ball game by Jimmy Key. When he throws that first pitch to Paul Molitor, well, Paul Molitor usually swings at the first pitch if it's a strike, and if he does, they're going to try and get that ball, and then it will go to one of the two Halls of Fame. So we had a nice look at the field, the dugouts, which are very comfortable for the players. Let's go down now to Fergie Albert with his interview, and he's standing with a very big man in Boston yesterday in Fenway Park. Fergie?
And that is a moment, Tony, that we shall never forget in Blue Jay history. Anytime you can come back from a 10-0 deficit and have this man hit a grand slam home run, and the Blue Jays go on to win it. Ernie, you've had a chance to gather your thoughts over a night, and boy, oh boy, there's nothing that's better than a grand slam home run and a victory.
Well, there's no question. There's no way to open up the Skydome either than to come back with a victory, and especially a 3-game winning streak there in Boston. And I know I was excited. All the ball players were excited. I had a hard time sleeping last night.
I bet you did. Ernie, it's only fitting that I talked to you as the last Blue Jay before the introductions and the beginning of a new season, because you're the man that's been here the longest. You've seen it all. The original Blue Jay, the only one that's left. You've seen everything come together here, the Skydome, everything, all the talk about it and everything.
Well, it's almost a dream come true. Again, you know, it's something that everyone had talked about, and we had anticipated what it was going to be like. But now that we're finally into it, you know, the excitement's in the air, and we're just happy that we're into the new facility. And you know, again, Exhibition Stadium served its purpose, but we're happy here.
What was the general feeling throughout the players as they came to the stadium this afternoon and saw this magnificent building for the first time?
Excitement. You know, they walked out and it seemed like their bottom jaw just dropped when they looked at just the magnificent beauty of it. You know, especially when we walked in, we got in here about 3 o'clock and the dome was closed at the time, and to actually see it open up and know that you can play indoors, and now you see that it's open and we're going to be playing outdoors, which is a great feeling.
Ernie, I was talking to Marty Springstad a little earlier, and we're looking at the hitting background. Now, I don't have a monitor here, but let's just sort of turn here to the side and look out into center field. You can see that hitting background. What did you think of it?
Pretty colors.
Do you think it'll be a factor?
It could be. You know, I don't know how high the pitcher's going to be up on the mound and whether that will play a factor in it. I know they put the black drop out there, but the colored lights, I don't know whether it's above it or not.
Ernie, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
And now let's go to the PA announcer, Murray Eldon, for the introduction of the players.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, it's time to meet the Milwaukee Brewers, tonight's visitors for the first game at Skydome. First, the non-starters, coaches, and support staff. Equipment manager, Tony Migliaccio. Trainer, John Adam. Trainer, Al Price. The coaches, number 8, Andy Etchebarren. Number 10, Duffy Dyer. Number 12, Larry Haney. In the bullpen, number 24, Chuck Hartenstein. Number 35, Tony Muser. The non-starters, number 6, infielder Bill Spires. Number 7, infielder Dale Swain. In the bullpen, number 22, catcher Charlie O'Brien. Number 25, catcher Dave Engel. Number 29, pitcher Chris Mascio. Number 30, outfielder Terry Francona. Number 32, pitcher Chuck Krim. Number 33, pitcher Jay Aldrich. Number 36, pitcher Tony Fossis. Number 37, pitcher Dan Plasak. Number 41, pitcher Mark Knudsen. Number 47, pitcher Bill Kruger. Number 48, pitcher Brian Clutterbuck. Number 49, pitcher Teddy Higuera. And now the starting lineup for the Brewers tonight. Batting first at third base, number 4, Paul Molitor. Batting second, the designated hitter, number 19, Robin Yount. Batting third, the shortstop, number 1, Gary Sheffield. Batting fourth, the right fielder, number 45, Rob Deere. Batting fifth, the left fielder, number 26, Glenn Braggs. Batting sixth, at first base, number 9, Greg Brock. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 5, B.J. Soha. Batting eighth, the center fielder, number 16, Mike Felder. Batting ninth at second base, number 14, Gus Hollader. The starting pitcher, warming up in the bullpen, number 38, Don August. And the manager of the Brewers, number 42, Tom Treblehorn. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome your Toronto Blue Jays. First, the non-starters, coaches, and support staff. Equipment manager, Jeff Ross. Trainer, Tommy Craig. Assistant trainer, Brent Andrews. The coaches, number 7, third base, John McLaren. In the bullpen, number 8, bullpen coach, John Sullivan. Number 25, first base coach, Mike Squires. In the bullpen, number 41, pitching coach, Al Whitmire. Number 56, coach, Marty Patton.
Let's see, I'll talk about the engineering marvel.
53,000 baseball fans. Hello, I'm Jim Paskey along with Pete Vukovich. Glad to be with you from Toronto tonight. Boom, 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 boom.
Our Canadian friends are certainly beaming with number 50, pitcher Tom Henke. Number 55, pitcher John Cerruti. The starting lineup for the Blue Jays tonight, batting first, the right fielder, number 54, Junior. The shortstop, number 1, Tony Hernandez.
number 17, Kelly Rivers. Batting fourth, the left fielder, number 11, George Bell. Batting fifth, at first base, number 19, Fred McGriff. Batting sixth, the center fielder, number 15, Lloyd Mosby. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 12, Ernie Whips. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, number 5, Rex Mullinax. Batting ninth, the second baseman, number 2, Nelson Liriano. Warming up in the bullpen tonight, starting pitcher for the Blue Jays, number 22, Jimmy Key. And the manager of the Blue Jays, number 43, Cito Gaston. Ladies and gentlemen, your Toronto Blue Jays.
Broad stripes and bright skies through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free
Thank you very much. We've got Ann Murray just coming off, and as usual, you're absolutely magnificent. And I know you're quite a baseball fan.
Oh, I am. They want Snowbird. I'm a real big baseball fan, absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, who's your favorite player?
Well, Dave Steve said to say it was him.
Oh, did he?
But I wouldn't dare say anybody today. I love the whole team. I'm behind them 100%.
Yeah, it's a great moment for all
It's
Canada.
so exciting. I can't believe it.
Well,
It's
we're
great.
sure happy to have you.
Thank you.
All right, Ann Murray. So right now, let's go to Don Chevrier and Tony Kubek.
Okay. All right, Fergie, a very exciting moment here. Canada's own Songbird launching the opening of the Skydome with the two national anthems. This crowd still finding its way in. There are a few empty seats showing, but believe me, they're all gone tonight. There's Rich Garcia in the middle, one of the umpires who was here on April 7th, 1977, and the man from Florida will be the first to agree. He likes tonight's conditions a whole lot better, and surroundings, I might add.
Yeah, the temperature is a little more conducive to baseball, and the surroundings certainly are, as we get a wonderful panoramic shot of this fabulous monument to the people of Canada. Toronto has really done a job and outdone anything possible, I think. And I said earlier, saw Mr. and Mrs. Bud Selig, the president of the Brewers, and his wife, and they are just gaga when they saw this, because they may be building one. I don't think they can afford one like this. Here's a big moment for this gentleman,
Yes.
Mr. Eddie Hardy, the CEO of the Blue Jays. He's going to do the honors.
You know, as he walks out, the crowd got here about 6 o'clock, and they missed one of the great moments. I was very impressed with the roof opening, how silent it was, how smooth it was. Just flawless operation, about 20 or 25 minutes. Now, Mr. Hardy getting set to deliver to Ernie Witt, who delivered yesterday at Fenway Park in Boston. Here is the first pitch in the Skydome. Man who has worked so hard, so devoted to giving baseball fans in Toronto and across Canada, has already signs the ball for them, the very best team they can put on the field. They've had a tough start, but I've got a feeling after winning 3 in Boston, this Skydome is going to really elevate this club, Tony.
Well, sometimes the anticipation has been here for so long, and you think, well, it can't be as good as everybody's anticipating or saying. But, folks, it was. I mean, it is exciting. When the Blue Jays were announced, the fans were all up and all cheering. And they, as Don said, are still filing in. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful facility. And even though I don't like domes and artificial surface, I can live with this one.
You can make an exception just once here. Well, they didn't finish laying the carpeting out in left field till about 4:30, but if anybody's ever had a new house they moved into, they can relate to what's gone on here. It looks just super right now. You're watching Labatt's Blue Jays baseball from the Skydome on CTV.
Mutual.
Blue Jays is officially open here. We talked about the distances to the foul lines and straightaway center field power alleys. The umpires will talk with the two managers about the ground rules. John McLaren standing in there, and I guess they have to make special rules for a special situation.
There really isn't anything tricky, you know. Fans reach out down to the corners because it's a little bit close, but you have the same thing in Fenway Park. Some dome stadiums, you have to have a special ground rule. In Minnesota and the Astrodome with speakers you overhang. If the ball hits a speaker, this does not have a speaker, but they have a special ground rule for the flags, which are hanging from the top of the Skydome. If a ball hits the flags up there, it's in play. So those, and they're way up there, but a ball could get caught. So if it did get tangled in the flags and you caught it, it's an out.
If
that
it
is one of the
happens.
tricky things.
I have to see it to believe it, but you got to provide for it just the same.
They said the same thing about the Astrodome and the Dome in Minnesota, and yet the roof was hitting the Astrodome a couple of times. They're looking at the flags right now, and so they're saying, "Get the flags, boys. It's in play." We'll be back, folks.
Friends, Tony.
Is it a full moon? We'll be able to tell because the Skydome is open.
It is a gorilla of a facility.
Here come the Jays taking the field, Don. You will wonder as this season progresses and the Jays get more familiar with the surroundings in the Skydome, how much of an advantage it will become for the home team. We'll be able to tell for a while, but it's become a tremendous home field advantage in Houston for their pitching staff. Look at Montreal since they closed it last year. Minnesota, the year they hardly lost a game and never lost a postseason game there. Seattle plays much better in Seattle's dome than they do on the road. So ultimately, will this be the edge if the Jays can get back in contention in the East?
I guess you'd have to say it could be, and you'd have to say also that the only real hitter's dome is Seattle. Minnesota kind of settled down a little bit, and Houston and Montreal, as you say, are very good pitchers' ballparks. Jimmy Key's hoping in this ballpark will be a good one for him.
Well, I would think a control pitcher like Jimmy Key, who to the big right-handed power hitters can keep the ball away and can change speeds, will be able to use that spacious center and right and left center field area. It is a ballpark you want a lot of speed in the outfield, and here's the lineup that Jimmy Key will face, Don.
And it's been a good one, yet like the Blue Jays, they have trouble winning. Paul Molitor leads it off. Robin Yount's the DH hitting second. Young Gary Sheffield, sensation at shortstop, hits third. Rob Deere, among the leaders in home runs, is in right field, batting cleanup. Glenn Braggs is in left field. Greg Brock, after an injury, is just back at first base. B.J. Surhoff is the catcher. Mike, call me Tiny Felder, is in center field. And Gus Pollard, the second baseman, hits ninth. Jimmy Key came off a tough outing last time in Cleveland. Looks to pick up his 7th win here in the Skydome tonight.
Well, Jimmy had a lot of innings in the month of May. 2 9-inning outings, a couple of 8-inning outings, 1 in 7, 2 of the other outings. And basically with his control, he will use this defense. Bell, Mosby, and Felix, with blazing speed in right field. Gruber, Fernandez, Liriano, and McGriff. Ernie Wick, original Blue Jay, gets to catch Jimmy Key in the first pitch to Molitor in the Skydome.
And as you said that, both Mosby and Bell raced back to the wall to check the padding, get the feel of it, get the feel of the warning track, as did Felix in right field.
Well, the padding is 4 inches thick, and you could pound that all day long and never find a beam.
That's good news for all concerned. Here it is. Now this dome is really open. There goes the ball from the plate umpire, Rocky Rowe. Ball boy over to the Blue Jay official, and that will go on to the Hall of Fame.
So Ken Erskine's got his grips on it. A breaking ball for a strike from Key. And with Jimmy's wonderful control, you all but knew it was going to be a strike.
This is kind of fun having 2 home openers in a year. Now it is 1-1 the Molitor. He'll be followed by Yount and Sheffield.
Jimmy Key has walked just 7 all year, 1 intentionally in 90 innings pitched. And most of those strikes are quality strikes.
And the first base hit of the dome belongs to Molitor.
He's going to go, too, on Lloyd's arm.
He's there.
And with both Mosby and Bell struggling in the department throwing, having to play deeper in this ballpark to protect the gaps, this might not be a very good home run park, that remains to be seen, but it's going to be an outstanding doubles park like Kansas City because the gaps are so big.
Well, of his last 16 hits now, Molitor has had 10 go for extra bases. That is his 9th double in that stretch. And if they ask you years from now who got the first base hit in the Skydome, this is the man. Make a note, a double for Paul Molitor.
And Yount, one of the real professional hitters in baseball, will shoot this ball to right field. You've got to watch Molitor. He can steal a base.
Now those 2 kids, Molitor and Yount, who met so much over the years to this team, getting on now. Paul is 32. This man, Robin, is 33. Seems like yesterday he was a teenage sensation.
Came up at 18 years of age, spent about 60 games in the minor leagues, as did Paul Molitor. If you're wondering why this early in the season Robin Yount is showing bunt and why he's DHing, because he's a fine center fielder. Yesterday in the ball game, the hitter hit a knuckleball to him out in the outfield, and at the last second, it knuckled right into the finger on his bare hand. So he cannot throw very well. He's DHing, and apparently he's having trouble swinging. He's bunting early, which is unusual.
He shows it, but gets a strike. So it is 2-1. He's coming off 2 great years, Yount is. 306 and 312. He's nudging 300 right now.
A Hall of Fame caliber player. Started as a shortstop, outstanding outfielder, and after the shoulder surgery, the arm has come back. But he can do as much with a bat, except hit 40 home runs, as anybody in the American League.
Watch the bunt again, lays it down third base side to Gruber, and he gives himself up, getting his partner Molitor over to third base.
And Molitor rounded the bag very widely because Ernie Witt had to hold at home plate as Gruber threw the ball, and nobody Nobody was holding Mahler. That really was Tony's job. He should have been over at third base after he held the runner. Right here. Watch Mahler. He's wide open. If McGriff doesn't look, he keeps on going with his speed. So Tony held the man at second, but then didn't get over to third.
Here is Gary Sheffield, just 20 years old, with a world of talent. And he's going to produce the first run of the Dome on a ground ball to short. 1-0 Milwaukee as he brings Molitor home.
Well, another reason that Tom Trevelor, number 42, is bunting, aside from the finger of the out, there is only one team in the American League who has scored fewer runs. That's the Detroit Tigers. So it's been a scuffle in the run-scoring department for the Brewers.
Now the next hitter has scored a few with a long ball, Rob Deere, with 12 of them, but not hitting for average is .218.
Watch this high front leg kick, which he started earlier this year, a little bit last year, like Kirby Puckett. He's been hitting the ball in right field a little more than he did at the end of last year. Now he's gone away from the high leg kick. He was hitting the ball very well earlier this year that way.
Hit 3 homers against the Jays last year, 7 lifetime versus Toronto, and he's chasing that trio atop the home run derby this year. Ground ball, here's Gruber collecting it, and the inning is over, but not before the Milwaukee Brewers draw first blood of the Skydome. This crowd in anticipation of the Blue Jays' first at-bat coming right up on Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball on CTV. Well, here is the Milwaukee starting pitcher, Don August, tonight. He is 4-6 on the year. Junior Felix, who's been so hot in Boston, as you saw on the weekend, leads it off, 11 RBIs at Fenway. Tony Fernandez, then Kelly Gruber and George Bell. Fred McGriff hitting fifth. Lloyd Mosby behind him. Ernie Grand Slam Witt, the catcher. And then DH Rance Bonadix and the second baseman, Nelson Lariano. August is 25 years of age, a 1-1 record against the Jays, but a horrendous .859 earned run average versus Toronto last year.
August is a breaking ball pitcher. He does have a sinker ball. He's got to keep the ball down. He has struggled in his last few starts. Braggs, Felder, and Rob Deere in the outfield. Paul Molitor. Sheffield is rough, but he has got a lot of talent, can run and throw. Gus Polidor, Gantner out. He was hit by a pitch. Greg Brock out a couple months with shoulder surgery, back at first base. B.J. Suroff, the left-handed hitter, will catch the curveball, slider, change, and sinker ball pitcher Don August.
And here is Rocky Rowe behind the plate. Dale Scott, Rich Garcia, and Mike Riley are the umpires. As we said earlier, Garcia was here in '77 for that opener. August, a tough competitor, has had his ups and downs. He has to live and die with his control. Got to try to cut down on a lot of walks he gave up last year.
He won 13 ball games last year. His problem is sometimes he doesn't trust his stuff, doesn't think it's good enough, nibbles, gets in the hole. When he pitches from behind, it's trouble. They are dragged in at the corners, Molitor and Brock, for the great speed of Felix.
Now, the way this outfield wall is angled here, I'm thinking that maybe inside the park home runs may not be commonplace, but could occur fairly frequently. Can catch an angle and get away on an outfielder.
Well, if you try for a shoestring catch on this, coming too fast, could bounce over your head. There's the changeup. An ideal pitch for Felix to bunt, when you can get on top of.
His grand slam inside the park effort in Fenway as they look back through reams and reams of material, just the third ever in that fine facility dating back to 1912. Cracks it down and does not get it through. Polidor robs him of a base hit with a fine play.
Well, we just had a chance to see the speed of Junior Felix. Hitting and running at the same time with an open stance. And Polidor makes an outstanding play. Junior Felix came astride from beating it out. You know, you talked about the inside the park home run. That's amazing in itself, but what amazed me was the ball he hit for the home run over the bullpen that went about 420 feet. Fenway yesterday. He only weighs 165 pounds.
And yet he really did nail that one for the game winner. So here is Tony Fernandez now. He takes ball one, and Fergie reports that the little difficulty with the dirt, consistency of it around home plate.
Well, that's right, Chevy. Rich Garcia, the crew chief, sat at second base. As Fernandez hits that ball down to block the first baseman, he tags the bag for the second out. But Garcia came over and was asking for Brad Bujold, the head groundskeeper. He said the dirt at home plate is starting to break down, and I'm sure you're going to see a manicure job at the end of this inning.
Well, Brad Bujold told us this morning when we were out here looking around the ballpark that when they left the dome open and had the downpour, was it Saturday?
Yeah.
The water just went right through. There's no drainage beneath the dirt, and it just stayed there. And beneath it, it was wet. And they had to re-till that ground several times and try and tap it back down. So the moisture, obviously, is starting to come to the surface.
Yeah, the drainage system's not in full operation. And with this roof supposedly being closed when it does rain, it shouldn't be a problem. But it was on Saturday when they chose to open it, and the sky is open.
Whoa. Hard shot. That'll be a base hit as it escapes Paul Molitor. Gruber's on his way to second. And that's the call.
What a great play by Molitor and Polidor. Good hustle by Kelly Gruber. An absolutely fantastic play by Paul Molitor to even knock that ball down, a bullet, and then to pounce on it like he did and make a great throw.
And Garcia shaken up and laughing.
Kelly Gruber gave his helmet. Look at this. It's an absolute bullet that caught just a little bit of Molitor's glove, but watch this play. He's got a shortstop or an outfielder's arm and a pickup by Polidor, and there goes Rich Garcia, rolling all the way back to his home port, Miami.
He was dancing like he had a hot foot to get away from Kelly Gruber and then makes the call. So the Blue Jays are gone, trailing by a run at the Skydome on the Bats Blue Jays baseball at CTV. Glenn Bragg's the Milwaukee hitter to start the Brewers' second inning. He'll be followed by Greg Brock and DJ Surhoff, the catcher. 1-0 Milwaukee.
Last time we saw Glenn Braggs, he was not wearing glasses. He was wearing the contacts, but they've been giving him trouble. He's gone to the glasses. He hits best, as does Rob Deere, when they try and hit the ball to right center field and not pull everything.
Had a mediocre year and career against the Blue Jays, about a .221 lifetime hitter against Toronto.
Second half last year, Braggs began to realize that #1 draft pick potential, and then he had the shoulder surgery. It was set back a little bit, so he's had a little bit of a slow start.
He had a nerve problem in his right shoulder. Reminder of this CTV telecast presented by authority of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club may not be rebroadcast in any form without the express written consent of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Jimmy Key can shoot the outside corner at the knees against right-handed sluggers as well as any pitcher in baseball. And just when you start leaning over, he busts you inside.
Here's
like
the 2-2 stroked as Gruber just went down and stayed in the pile, made no move on that ball.
Remember in Boston yesterday, either he hit his knee with a bat on the backswing or his knee gave out. And when he tried to push off that foot, right leg, he goes down from that left field camera. Kelly, who's been playing with a sprained ankle, I don't know if that was the cause or if it was the knee.
He's all right. He hopped up right away, but as I say, could make no attempt to get to the ball, which he may not have gotten to anyway.
You know, we saw this in Cleveland, Jimmy Key's last start. After all the innings in May, he didn't quite have the fastball hard enough to come inside, and that's what just happened with Bragg. He tried to get the ball inside, but he doesn't have enough zip on it at this point. They may have to back off him for a start, maybe give him an extra day rest or so. The bullpen struggled in April. Some of the starting pitchers pitched a lot. Flanagan's shoulders down.
This is Greg Brock, who had his own opening day just a short time ago. He was sidelined at the start of the season due to shoulder surgery, recovered from. And then he debuted with a 3-run shot off Mike Witt to give the Brewers and tonight's pitcher Don August a 4-1 win. Back to first, and almost. Bragg's taking liberties with a left-handed pitcher with a good move.
You know, he wasn't off that far, and he's leaning back, but Jimmy was so quick that Freddie McGriff thought he was going to get the call from Mike Riley.
He sure did.
It was awfully close.
Pushed down the third base side. Gruber not in. Has to react quickly to get him at first base. Braggs takes second.
So Tom Tremblorn, as he did in the first inning with Robin Yount, plays one base at a time with Greg Brock to advance Braggs to second base. And when you're struggling to get runs, as the Brewers have, you're going to try and play base to base.
Got to grind away, and it worked for him, as you suggested, back in the first inning. Now the catcher, B.J. Surhoff, out that outstanding U.S. Olympic team in '84, and one of many.
Had a good first year, struggled most of last year, as a lot of players did, playing with the deader baseball.
But he's been a J killer. 359 lifetime and 387 last year was his average against Toronto. He's got that short, compact swing and a lively bat.
What he needs to do, though, against left-handers like this is try and go up the middle or the opposite way. When he had the good year 2 years ago, he may have gotten to trying to pull the ball too much. Last year, they started him off batting third, and it was just too much for him.
Well, he's a much better hitter against right-handers than he is lefties by about 75 points.
And usually the batting average isn't the only indicator nor the true one. It's usually the slugging percentage goes down, as does the on-base percentage. Two more important statistics than batting average.
Chops it foul.
It'll be interesting to see how George Bell's knee and Lloyd Mosby's back hold up with more space to cover. Boy, those gaps in left and right center field are a lot larger than an exhibition stadium.
I guess on the plus side, supposedly there's a better cushion, a better spring to this carpet, although it's still a carpet which neither man enjoys. As we say, the carpet layers left about 4:30 this afternoon. It was cutting it a little bit close. I mean, this place we walked in was still a bit of a mess, not like it has been, but looks like a regular baseball park that's been in use for years right now.
Well, the hard hats work around the clock. Boy, those laborers got out there, and they really, electricians and the plumbers and all else, and Brad Bugeaud's crew, the ground supervisor, they were out here, it seemed, day and night.
Well, it became an immense matter of civic pride in Toronto and indeed all of Ontario. Very, very proud of this new facility, and people will be pouring in, A, to see the Skydome, and B, to see what's going on. There's a shot. Fernandez goes over and takes the other end of the double play.
At base running by Braggs.
He got burned. And the Jays go to work, got a 1-0 deficit in just a moment from the Skydome on Labatt's Blue Jays Baseball on CTV. Hey, Tony Kubek, Fergie Albert, back with you for the first of many times, we hope, from Toronto's proud new Skydome. And it is a dome, not this evening anyway. The sky is the operative word of a pleasant night in Toronto. George Bell about to get his first at bat in this new facility. Then Fred McGriff, then Lloyd Mosby. And with no fly balls, really, we can't tell you how the ball carries. We don't know yet. We've been line drives, infield ground outs, base hits, doubles, but nothing that can gauge how a ball is going to carry.
Well, we do know there will not be the wind factor here as there was at Exhibition Stadium, where it was always helping the ball out to right field.
I don't think there's the wind factor in Antarctica that there was at Exhibition Stadium.
Don August last year did win 13 ball games. His last outing against California, he pitched well. Started the season well, but they didn't get him any runs, and then he went into a tailspin.
Originally chosen by the Astros in June of '84, and a Major League draft took place today for '89. Blue Jays picked an infielder named Zosky, young man, chosen 19th of all the Major Leaguers selected. Well, we'll see how it carries now. Just foul. Just foul. Hooked to the last minute shy of the pole into the seats.
There was a breaking ball that hung upstairs for George Bell. He hit it off the end of the bat. Didn't hit it well at all.
Didn't carry badly for a ball hit off the end of the bat.
I think it's interesting, even on a long foul ball, you got people yelling and screaming. 4-game series, the Tigers are coming in June 9th, a night game. Will Sparky Anderson back? Rumors are that he might be back, feeling a lot better. He's been golfing out in his home, Thousand Oaks, California.
Now we sure hope he gets back by this weekend.
And would you bet that after 50-plus games, the Tigers would be last, Toronto second last, and the Milwaukee Brewers third from the bottom of the East, with Baltimore leading by 5 games.
Well, the only prediction I would have made that might have been right was Detroit to be last. The rest I had no idea.
Well, Baltimore, interestingly, Baltimore is in Yankee Stadium today. They have a 3-0 lead.
Again?
Yesterday, Barfield had 2 home runs against Milwaukee. Today, he made an error in the first inning, allowing all 3 runs to score for Baltimore.
Bell becomes a base runner via the walk. And here's Fred McGriff. How accurate, Tony, is the 328 mark down the line and right?
Well, I think that's accurate, but I don't think the right center and the dead center field dimensions are right, according to what people tell me. Of course, in Exhibition Stadium, they had 330 there. It was really about 314. Look out, folks. This is Kelly.
There's your first home run. Fred McGriff with the Jays lead 2-1. Well, you can't call it a Homer Dome just yet because that ball would have been gone anyway.
The way the Blue Jays left-handed hitters have been swinging over the last week, I wouldn't want to be a right-handed pitcher against them.
Fowler at second, up with a Mosby ground ball, first out of the inning.
The only left-handed hitter down who's not swinging the bat well in the lineup today is Tony Fernandez. Every one of the other left-handers have been hot. Felix, we know about him. McGriff, Liriano, Mosby, Mullix, and Witt all have been swinging the bat very well.
And you know Fernandez, the switch hitter, is going to get things turned around eventually. McGriff's 13th of the year. He joins the American League leaders. Ernie Witt yesterday with a grand slam, and the ovation for him in part due to that from Fenway 24 hours ago. His third career grand slam. That lead, by the way, in all the years of Boston Red Sox baseball, was the most that team had ever given up, a 10-run lead. They searched those records and found that to be the case. Stroked again to the second baseman, Crowder, 2 away.
That was the 10th home run that Don August had given up. Show you what a lot of his problems come from.
Little long ballitis. 2-1 Toronto on the home second. Rance Mullix. Couple of runs in and 2 gone.
This is the kind of park that a Rance Mullix, in the prime of his career, would have a lot of fun in. He played in Kansas City, and a lot of the players that came in here said this reminds them of Kansas City. Not the Skydome, but the distance to center field and right and left center field. And Mullix is a gap hitter. He uses the whole field, so he'd get a lot of doubles in this park in the prime of his career.
That's about the only thing, speaking of Royal Stadium, they didn't get in here. I mean, it might come in eventually as a waterfall at center field, but there's no room for it. You got restaurants and skyboxes and scoreboards and all sorts of great people things. Rance to left, drags measuring it on the warning track and goes a long way to get the third out. But the highlight of the night was this shot by McGriff. The Skydome has collected its first home run in the left field seats. The Jays lead 2-1 on Labatt's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Top of the third we go, the Skydome. On a beautiful evening, Blue Jays lead 2-1 on this park's first home run by Freddie McGriff in the last half inning. Felder, Halder, and Molitor for the Milwaukee Brewers here in the third. You were saying, Tony, before the game that Mike Felder likes to be called Tiny Felder. I think I know why. He's hitting 171. A tiny average anyway.
Well, he's a good little bench player. You can play defensively and you can pinch run with, but with Yount out and a number of other injuries, he's in the lineup. He's got a lot of speed. He's a switch hitter. He's going to beat this one out. They're going to find out what the role is now here in the Skydome, and they find out that it is fairly true. All that while Ernie Witt was looking, they're going to tag him. Did he make an attempt? We'll see what Riley says. He's safe. A runner can be in fair territory, as Felder was, but he did not make an attempt to go to second base. And all the while that ball was trickling down, Etchebarren was yelling. He's the first base coach to Felder. Watch the ball, watch the ball. And Ernie and Gruber and Key were watching the ball, but out of the corner of their eye watching Felder, so he wouldn't go to second. You got to remember, there's a guy in this ballpark playing right field now for the Blue Jays, Felix, who twice at Syracuse this year bunted. And while they were waiting for it to roll foul, he ended up with a double twice. That'll give you an idea of Felix speed.
Well, they got the lay of the land anyway, but that acted in a peculiar fashion because it stayed straight and then hung a hard left as it ran out of gas. So they'll have to read a few more of those before they know how it's going to behave.
Well, you had a chance to see that it's almost like a pool table service. It is completely flat. In the Dome Stadium, you don't need a natural drainage from the mound. It usually slopes down so the water runs off. And the mound is 10 inches high, but it is a true 10 inches. And the pitcher, I think it's another reason why it'll be a pitcher's ballpark. The pitcher looks down at the hitter, and he gets a lot of leverage out of this kind of mound and this kind of surface.
Well, as we look back, there was no cheap home run from Fred McGriff. But he got it out of here with his strength. Felder, by the way, at first base, a threat. He stole 34 bases 2 years ago, but he's being driven to second, and he will hold right there with a toss in for Mosby. First and second, nobody out. Brewers in the third.
Jimmy Key's going to have to do as much with Guile today. He gets a changeup up in the strike zone for Gus Polidor, the number 9 hitter.
That's his fourth base hit that Key has given up.
It seems like the starts through May, again, I'm not going to beat it to death, but the innings that Jimmy Key has pitched, that he just hasn't had the crisp fastball as much the last few starts.
Well, you've seen that in the past with Steve, you know, just too much of a good thing, and we're tempted to keep running a man out there every 5 days the way he wins for you, but you do pay a price in doing that. Cracked down to the shortstop, Fernandez flips Laureano. One, they do not get the double play. Milder beats it out on the back end.
Tony Fernandez got out of the ball as quickly as he could and shuffled it to Laureano as quickly as he could. It's just Molitor's speed that prevents the double play. A little bit caught in the glove perhaps, but it was a tough play for Tony. He had to charge it hard. The Brewers team has some speed. We just saw Molitor. Yount is a good runner. Sheffield runs very well. Felder runs very well. You've got about 4 base stealers in this lineup.
Yeah, no one great threat, but a lot of guys who can hurt you with some speed. So here's Robin Yount now with runners at first and third and 1 out, trailing the Blue Jays 2-1 in the third.
A tough guy to double up. Robin hits the ball the opposite way so well.
Pitch is wide from Key. It is ball 1 to Yount. Yount is hit in 9 of 11 games for Milwaukee, a stretch during which he has hit .385. There were only 4 Ironmen in the major leagues last year, and Yount was one of them. Along with Will Clark, Eddie Murray, and Cal Ripken, they're the only major leaguers to play in all of their team's 162 games.
Well, he's playing his 268th consecutive games tonight.
The 1-1.
Squeezes on, folks.
And they score with it.
Now, it's a foul ball. It hit the batter. No, they don't. They hit the batter in the box. And immediately, Rocky Rowe, the home plate umpire, calls the play, says it's a foul ball. So it was a suicide screen off third. Molitor was not running off first, and we'll see what happens. Yep. It's right off his left shin, and a good call, and a very, very quick call by Rocky Rowe. Jimmy Key was going after it. I think he was yelling while he was running, to Rocky Rowe, who sensed the play immediately.
And Felder was on top of the plate almost at the moment of contact. So just a moment of anxiety for the Blue Jays. Yount will reload.
Well, Tom Trebelhorn is a very unpredictable manager. He does have power through his lineup, but it hasn't produced a whole lot aside from Deere this year.
And that's been frustrating for a team expected to hang up big offensive numbers.
And that's why Tom Trebelhorn really has done what he has. He's sacrificed twice already today in the first and the second inning. But there's the old philosophy also. When you play for one run like that, sometimes that's all you get. You may have had a big inning.
Into center field for Mosby. Back goes Felder with the tag. Now he will score the run. And we are tied at 2.
There are not too many players in the game that can do the things Yount can. Even with a bad finger, first of all, he bunts with him to try and squeeze to protect the finger. And even at that, Robin gets behind and he gets you the sac fly. There are certain players who know how to play the game like Yount and Molitor, who do what they have to do in every situation. He's one of those guys. And I'd rather have a guy like Robin Yount or Molitor who may not be sensational all the time, but they never make mistakes, instead of a guy who's sensational one week and not so hot for another week.
Well, they are marvelous individuals playing a team game the way it should be played as part of that team, making things happen. Gary Sheffield is the hitter.
Dwight Gooden's nephew, who took off on the Milwaukee Brewers team about a week ago, saying that his pitching staff was not protecting him, they were knocking him down, and they were not helping him out. And then he took off on the manager in the press in the Milwaukee area, saying that Tom Trebelhorn and the coaches were overcoaching him, and that's why he's struggling. He's still young, and he is a terrific talent.
Well, not just a nephew, as you say, but really he views Uncle Dwight as a role model. One strike count to Sheffield. Monitor first base, a run in, 2-2 in the top of the third inning.
That's why they try and pitch him inside and why he gets brushed back so often. He stands straight up with a very close stance and he dives into the ball 8-10 inches.
He sure does.
He's got a very quick bat. The late Harvey Keene, when he first saw him as a kid when they signed him, said he's a 30-30 man, 30 home runs and at least 30 stolen bases.
Well, I'll tell you why the Brewers and everybody else was salivating over him when he was in high school, Sheffield. He batted .500 in high school. He averaged a home run every 4 bats and didn't strike out once in 62 trips to the plate as a high school senior. Now, that isn't enough. He went 6-3 as a pitcher with a 131 earned run average.
They talk about his toughness, too. He doesn't get scared at the plate. Nolan Ryan threw close to him a couple of times this year. He just gets back off the ground. Ryan almost hit him another time. Got off the ground, hit a home run off him.
Tough kid. Just 20, as we said. Into the power alley. Mosby will get there. So a long, loud final out from Sheffield. But using the bunt again to good advantage, Milwaukee comes back and ties the Blue Jays at 2. Ron Labatt's Blue Jays baseball from the Skydome on CTV. We want to share that welcome to our viewers to the Skydome in Toronto. First of many occasions we'll be televising from this ballpark. The next will be Wednesday night against the same Milwaukee Brewers. Nelson Laureano for the Blue Jays starting it off. Nelson's been hot lately. He's hit in 15 of the last 17 games, 5 RBIs in the last 2 over at Fenway Park, takes called strike 1.
And Manny Lee lost his job, didn't he?
Looks that way.
Disabled with a sprained ankle.
I don't know if they're giving him the nickname of Wally yet, but it's kind of like that, the way he sat down with the injury, and Laureano, who looked like his career had taken a downturn, picked it right up and made the most of it. Slow bounding ball. It'll be tough to get him, but they do. So 1 gone. Junior Felix, the sensation, will be next. And the Labatt's player of the game for Toronto receives A complete range of shaving products from Remington, the grooming company, including the Remington Ultimate Shaver, the shaver that shaves as close as a blade or your money back. Just one of the precision line of grooming products for men and women from Remington. Also, an amateur baseball team will be the guest of Remington at a future Blue Jays game here in the Dome.
Those of you who may have, Don, seen our game yesterday, not only saw the dramatic home run by Felix, but you also saw Marty Barrett, the Red Sox second baseman, go down in a near collision with Freddie McGriff. He has had surgery, and he's going to be out quite a while.
Well, they were at first hopeful, and so was Marty, that maybe it wasn't as bad as first suspected. He thought maybe just a twisted knee, but as you say then, further examination revealed the need for the knife.
And with Detroit coming in after Milwaukee, Jack Morris may be gone for a while. He is having his injured arm re-examined again. So they're breaking down in this division.
They weren't too sound coming in.
And the Blue Jays have got to watch for that too, with Flanagan's shoulder, Leiter still having some shoulder problems, Steve with some shoulder problems now.
Around goes Felix, the ball and 2 strikes. Flanagan, you might have seen the note today with his great sense of humor. They said, how's your tendinitis? He said, I'd rate it a 5-initis. Not that bad. Not a 10. There he is.
He pitched that big complete game shutout against Oakland, and since then he hadn't been the same.
Unassisted, the out by Brock. 2 gone for Tony Fernandez. Unlike yesterday's marathon at Fenway, better part of 5 hours, this one in the Dome is moving rapidly along. And so far, they're holding their own. Oddly enough, you go back to the last 3 Dome openers, and the home team did lose those games. Houston, Montreal, and Seattle all happened to lose their inaugural game under the roof, but they're in a dome, but it's not a dome tonight.
What happened to Minnesota? Anyone have a report on them?
Minnesota won theirs in '82.
It's got a sinker ball and a good changeup going now. August.
Sure does. The Blue Jays go very quickly here in the 3rd. We'll get Tony to take you along the next little while in a moment on the bets. Blue Jays baseball on CTV.
Rob Deere takes a pitch down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Deere grounded out in the 1st. The Brewers manufactured a run with double a sacrifice and a ground out by Sheffield in the 1st. 2-1 now to Rob Deere. Is Freddie McGriff in a 4-way tie for the home run lead in the American League. Bo Jackson, Mickey Tettleton, the Baltimore catcher. They set up the middle, so Jimmy Key once again upstairs in the strike zone. And for the 4th straight time, 4 innings, the Brewers have had the first runner on, and you are playing with trouble when this happens consistently.
That's 5 base hits off Key now.
Molitor doubled open the 1st, Bragg singled open the 2nd, Felder bunted single in the 3rd, and now Deere with a single to open the 4th. Glenn Braggs. Freddie McGriff manufactured the 2 Blue Jays run in this tie ball game after Bell walked, hit one deep to left center for a home run.
Now standing side by side as you look at Braggs down at first base, a total of now 25 home runs, 13 on the right, 12 on the left.
It is not just the opening of a new domed stadium. It is a happening in this area. All you got to do is talk to the fan. The stadium costs $465 million. What was the cost of Exhibition Stadium? A Xerox trivia quiz.
A whole lot less than this, but you got a whole lot less too.
Well, the brainchild of the original dome in Houston, the late Judge Roy Hoffine, that cost less than $25 million to build.
Can you believe that?
It's not all inflation. Fouled out of play.
Of course, the Seattle King Dome came in at 55, but that was a low-budget operation from day one. King County said, let's keep the cost down, and they got themselves a dome, but not fancy.
I don't know if there will ever be the kinds of dollars around to build another one just like this.
You wonder. Well, the Japanese want the roof technology. They're thinking of buying that in spades.
1 ball, 2 strikes, a man on in a 2-2 ball game. Hit deep to left field. George Bell is going to watch it go. 4-2, Milwaukee Brewers. Jimmy Key cannot get the ball down in the strike zone, similar to his last outing in Cleveland. So we've seen some balls hit very hard and down in Atlanta over the weekend. Saw a bunch of home runs there. Not unusual there. Did you see what the Chicago Cubs did yesterday in St. Louis? That great pitcher's ballpark. The Cubs hit 6 home runs, and Dawson's not in the lineup. Very unusual. A little breaking ball up in the strike zone. Glenn Braggs gives the Brewers that 4-2 lead. Now it's Greg Brock. He sacrificed in the second. Breaking ball, a little too high. And the Blue Jays bullpen is a little bit torn up. Bice disabled. Hernandez going, a little over 6 innings yesterday. Just called up from Syracuse. Wells pitched 3 on Saturday. Came in for 1 hitter yesterday. Marty Barrett. They've got to have a starter in case Steve can't go. That may have to be Frank Wills.
That's what they're thinking of because Hernandez had the long outing at Fenway.
Dwayne Ward pitched 3 yesterday. The Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field have their bleacher bums, their cheering section. Well, Blue Jays have their own little bleacher section by the bullpen.
Sort of like Kilroy was here years ago peering over the fence, aren't they? They do have a television monitor or will out there to be able to follow the game a little better.
3-1 count. Chop foul, it goes full. A lot of the conditions in this Skydome are yet to be found out about. What happens when the sun is bright during the daytime? Fastball, Jimmy Key gets Greg Brock. His first strikeout of the ball game. They ran the count full, and from that center field camera you see when we talk about a cut fastball, it's a little fastball from the left-hander. The left-hander just sails away a little bit.
Well, thinking of what you said about Wrigley and the Blue Jay bullpen hanging in out there, and considering the ownership of this team, you might call these guys Labatt's bleacher creatures.
You might, and then again, you might call them bleacher bums.
They're not bums.
Suroff lined into a double play. Bad base running by Braggs back in the second inning. Strike. Bella's Rocky Road. You know, another thing I think is going to happen in this ballpark, and I do not think it will be allowed, is the closed dome in Minnesota, where the visiting clubs had to put earplugs in. Breaking ball inside. When the Cardinals went in there for the World Series, it was so loud. The din was incredible. The pitchers and the coaches wore earplugs, as did Alex Gramix, the third base coach for the Detroit Tigers League Championship Series. Exhibition Stadium, the sound goes nowhere. It sounds like the crowd is very quiet. It just gets blown out of that stadium. I don't think it's going to be that way here. Apparently they had a decibel check with some meters here when they had the 50-some thousand in here on Saturday. It was loud, but not like Minnesota.
They're going to have some loud concerts in here, too, as the days roll off.
And some mellow operas, I understand. 2-2, 1 out. Good breaking ball. So the 2 left-hand hitters, Brock and Suroff, back-to-back. Struck out by Jimmy Key. Sweeping off-speed curveball. Now it's Mike Felder. He went to the 2 years ago when he came up to the Brewers radio broadcasters, Pat Hughes and Bob Uecker, and said, "Call me Tiny. I don't like Mike. Mom called me Tiny." Fernandez with a patented underhand throw. 6-3. So the Brewers come up with a couple certain nights. We're going to have a lot of variables here. When Freddie hit his, he hit as well, but it was warmer temperature, and the ball does go farther in warmer temperature. So depending whether it's open, closed, day, night, atmospheric conditions are going to change.
Felder is the hitter, then Pollard and Paul Mulder. In the Milwaukee ninth, still ahead by 2. Chicago's trampling the Mets tonight, 15-2. Baltimore leading the Yankees 11-1. They're putting up football scores in June. Mosby gets there. outstanding catches by Bill Mosby, and the man who hit that ball tonight, Felder, out in center field.
He was playing tiny shallow, got a good jump. Sometimes not the easiest ball to get a good jump on. A ball line drive hit almost directly at you. The ice cream cone there, didn't he, as he shoe-topped it?
He couldn't get much closer to the ground, could he, with the glove? Polidor, the second baseman, 1 for 3 tonight.
Well, what a different year this is for David Cone. He was a scheduled starting pitcher. He was all but unbeatable last year. And he started for the Mets today, and he's 3 wins and 4 losses this year. Last year he won over 20, and what did he lose, 2 or 3?
Gustavio Polidor, just call me Gus. Fans at Edmonton know him as he was sent there by their California Major League team. Gruber guns him down for the second out.
This looks like a very fast, bouncy turf. Playing well off the line because of Jimmy Key's outstanding sinker and tailing fastball. If you know your pitcher is going to keep the ball away as Key can, has good control, you can give the line and set your defense so well.
More great views of the night skyline of Toronto and the skyscrapers all lit up around this new facility. Paul Molitor sends a souvenir to the right side. He has scored tonight, but on base 3 times, scored twice as a matter of fact.
You know, someday I think Robin Yount is going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to get his 3,000 hits, and that sometimes is a sure thing, although Yount does more. This guy is Robin on deck, but I think Molitor, if not for all the injuries, was actually a more sensational style player than Robin. He's got power also like Robin. Better running speed, a great base stealer. Outstanding. We saw 2 athletic defensive plays for him, but not for the injuries. We'll tell him what he would have done.
Slaps that to right, and a great running catch by Junior Felix.
Speed will do it, won't you? Speed never gets in the slump. A bat does, a pitcher might, but legs never do it. That's what the kid's got. You wonder when he's going to be out in center field in this spacious ballpark.
He was made for the Skydome, and there's the first example of his defensive powers here.
Ball is hit very hard as you saw it slicing away.
That sets it up for one last chance for the Jays on Levant's Blue Jays baseball on CTV. Then Felix, who made that sparkling catch a moment ago.
Lawless, we've talked about how smart a player he is. He hasn't been gifted with great ability. He has good running speed, but he somehow seems to work in clutch situations. A walk out of a situation, you take enough pitches and make a pitcher pitch, you better throw him strikes.
Well, the bizarre baseball season continues tonight in New York. It is now 16-2 for the Orioles over the Yankees. And get this, the first 11 Baltimore runs were unearned.
And we talked about the first 3 in the first inning, an error by former Blue Jay Jesse Barfield.
Then the next 8 in the third inning were in the same category. And the Cubs lead the Mets 15-2. Not much pitching on the East Coast tonight.
It looks like Jeff Ballard is going to get his 9th win with 1 loss for the Orioles. He was the starter, and Andy Hawkins over from San Diego in that Jack Clark deal is going to get another loss. He'll be 5-7.
And as a result, they're going to pick up an extra game on the Blue Jays unless Toronto turns this around. The Jays will go 9 off the pace if things hold here. To Baltimore, I mean, you talk about a surprise.
Hey, when do you say for over 50 games we've been playing that Baltimore might be for real? With all those new young pitchers, Greg Olson, a good closer.
Lawless to the first baseman Brock in foul territory.
You look at some of the outfielders they throw at you. Joe Arcelak, who can run, left-handed hitter, and Brady Anderson and Finley. Phil Bradley, who was best left fielder, I think, defensively in the National League last year. Now he's back, and Ripken. And
the 2 of them.
Some of the others.
Good little ball club. And then Tendleton with his 13 home runs behind the plate, a success story in his own right.
Well, they're a good little ball club for this division, Eastern Division American League, the way some of these other teams are playing. A lot of great players, not just good ones, have gone out of this division the last 3 years.
We're going to be 31-22, and the Blue Jays are liable to be 23-32 when this is over. Nelson Laureano. bounced in by Plesac. 2 more games here at the Dome tomorrow and Wednesday. The Wednesday game on CTV at 7:30 Eastern Time against Milwaukee. And the Tigers will be in on the weekend. That'll be the NBC game of the week on Saturday. Tony will be staying here for that. And then Sunday right back at CTV. The wind-up of that series. Popped up. Brewers will be an out away from an upset over the Jays in the Skydome tonight as Brock has made both outs.
And Plesac trying for his 13th save. I mean, he just knocks the bat out of your hand. He did it to Lawless, and he just sawed Liriano off. You think you're on his pitch, and it just seems to jump in on you when he hits you on the fist. You got to start your bat early against a guy like Plesac.
It's up to Felix now, the rookie switch hitter, who is much stronger from the other side of the plate than he is here on the right. Weaker here by about 130 points in his batting average.
You figure that Junior Felix has played baseball about 6 years. I don't mean professionally. I mean, he was a track star till Epi Guerrero discovered him in the Dominican Republic when he was 16 and played baseball casually. So you're talking about 5 years. This is what, his 4th year professionally. A little over a month at the AAA level. Remember when they tried that with Camposano and Ducey after a full year at Syracuse and AAA level? Show you what kind of jump this kid's made. Not easy.
Natural ability and a willingness to learn will take you a long way, and it has Junior Felix. He has arrived.
But like anything else, the test of time, and we'll see if Junior Felix can survive that at a big league level.
He has made his mark, as you say, the first time around at least.
And one thing he's done, I think they've liked about him, when he left the ball game in Cleveland with an ankle injury. He had a little bit of a reputation. He might not play hurt, but then he came back strong and played very well in Boston, as we know, and great with a tender ankle.
Takes his walk here and gives Tony Fernandez a chance to tie this ball game.
So what they will do now is not pay any attention as Brock moves behind Felix, but what they will do is guard the lines. They don't care if Junior scores or where he goes. What they want to do is keep Tony Fernandez out of scoring position for Gruber and maybe Bell. So the outfield goes way deep. Give him a single, prevent the gapper or the double over the head or a triple. You protect the lines, take the double away. And Trevor Horn is just really setting his defense from the bench. And what Brock did was he said, I'm playing behind. I'm going to stay way back. There's Andy Etcheberry. Brock was warning him not to throw because that's a ball.
Fastball for a strike. Fernandez a little bit better from this side of the plate, the right side, than he is on the left, at least right now.
He's just got a much more level swing, and he seems to be a little stronger, a little quicker from the right side. I mean, not that he's a bad hitter left-handed, but it's not really his natural way.
It's not the disparity of a Felix, for example, from one side to the other. 1-1 is the count to Tony. If he keeps it going, Kelly Gruber will be next. High, 2-1. Well, they did it in Beantown yesterday. A lot less ground to make up here tonight. And the Blue Jays want to come back and win the opener in the Dome. Against a tough stopper, Plesac. Gets a strike. It is 2-2.
Tony almost looked like up until 2 strikes, he was looking for something inside part of the plate that he could pull and maybe get a quick 2 runs. Good fastball away.
Fouls it off, stays alive. Fernandez, as you know, has been in a horrendous slump and has gone 0 for 4 tonight. His average down below 215 at this stage. Great to end it. Polidor pounced on that ball like a wildcat.
Years ago, that four. Now we'll talk about Polidor, who Gene Mock likes so well.
You're watching the Bats Blue Jays baseball at CTV. As they beat the Blue Jays 5-3, and Toronto's 3-game win streak comes to a halt. You're watching the Bats Blue Jays baseball on CTV.